Welcome everyone to another RGL cast. My name is Jared. I'm here with TC Man, and I'm going to bring you guys Froyotech versus Witness Gaming Xiao. This is a double header. RGL Invite Mini 6's Week 2B and 6A, saving up the Week 2 game all the way up to right before the grand finale of playoffs. Both these teams, top teams, everyone's going to recognize the rosters when we go over them. Obviously undefeated records, but that is going to end tonight, and we are going to finally see who will end the regular season with the #1 seed and who will have to be content with seed #2. And it's all shaking down tonight, both maps one after another, first on Sunshine and then on Granary.
Yeah, it should be a very exciting. You can't call it a best of 3 because there is no technical third map to go to it, but it feels like it. It feels like we're kind of in playoffs having this back-to-back, and especially between these two top teams, you're kind of feeling like this is something we're going to see probably at least once in the upper bracket final, probably again in grand finals. These two teams have been so on top of it the entire season, but as you said, Jarrett, by the end of this, we will know who isn't first heading into playoffs, or in the scenario where they somehow both win a game and do it on equal score lines, and it's just going to come down to everything else in this season. But outside of that very unlikely scenario, I think this should be a very great series of games. We're going to be starting on Sunshine, but before that, we can run down the rosters, which, as you kind of mentioned, everyone should know who these players are. So in Froyotech, it's going to be Banny as Pocket Scout, Kobe on Flank Scout, Soldier is going to be Soapy and Speedy, Habib on Demoman, and then Lol Guy on Medic. There is so much to be said about these players, but not a lot that hasn't been said before. They're some of the best in all of their respective classes, but their opponents on the other side of the field have some pretty insane firepower as well.
Yep, for the side of Witness Gaming Xiao, we have Minaj and Moose on Scout, Robotnik, aka Aimer, on Soldier, as well as Loaf, Logan on Demo, and Hubada on Medic. All a great menagerie of names of people who've been in the scene for a long while and have had multiple grand final appearances and victories, as well as people who have made their names over the past year or so in the Invite, and before that, honestly, just the pug scene and advanced in general. So a good combination that is leading to a lot of good results this season, but where will things stop? Will it stop at the end of the rainbow gaining first place, or will they fall just short? We have to content with second or third, or maybe even fourth if the fates align for the teams that we haven't mentioned tonight that are still in the I guess not playoffs running, because playoffs is relatively secure at this point for the top 4 teams, but the seeding is still kind of up for grabs. For the pick bans, for I guess this, keep in mind this is 2 separate pick bans. They're just kind of bunched up together. It's for each match this season you ban 2 and then the other team picks 1. For the first match, the Week 2 match, it was a ban of Gully and Process followed by a Sunshine pick. Then for the second match, the one that's actually supposed to be played this week, it was a ban of Bagel and Gully Wash with a Granary pick.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it was Froyotech that picked which map?
Froyotech picked Sunshine.
So that's going to be the first map we're going to see. So this is technically Froyotech's pick, as you said. Not a whole lot of banning going in, as was case in previous regular seasons. I guess they're going to be saving that for playoffs. So it does make it interesting and makes it that if you are a team, you have a lot, better of an opportunity to pick one of those wildcard maps that can't be just banned into obscurity and really allows teams to kind of experiment during that regular season. And even though with Sunshine being a pick, kind of standard, kind of commonplace, but on the other hand, later tonight, Granary is definitely a wild card. I don't know how much either of these teams have played it, and I think it's also very interesting that it was Witness Gaming Xiao who picked it, because you look at Froyotech, those are kind of the players with a little bit more experience on the whole. Obviously, you've got people like Hubada and Logan who are very well established, multiple grand final appearances, as you've said, but I mean, I think Witness Gaming Xiao are maybe going to be looking at that to be the upset map potentially and kind of catch Froyotech out. But back over onto Sunshine, Jarrett. Obviously, Froyotech picked it, but do you think that they are a stronger team coming into this? I think most people would say yes, but judging from what you've seen over the two teams over the course of a season, do you think that Witness Gaming Xiao have something to take it out and maybe get the win here?
The thing that makes a prediction for these two teams extra difficult is I don't think these two teams were teams that regularly played each other this season whatsoever. They have their own schedules, their own agendas on what was going to be happening throughout the season, or any breaks that might have had to be taken. So like it's very very minimal, and you have to kind of judge their performance based on them playing other teams, which there's playstyle matchups that are a bit different that you have to take into account. So it's a little hard to say. I think for the most part, Froyotech has looked pretty solid on Sunshine, and Witness Gaming, not the cleanest all the time, even though they found success as well versus their opponents. However, I think, when you put these two teams against each other who potentially are, your grand finalist teams up and coming, you have to be very, very nitpicky about mistakes and poke and prod at like small errors to kind of decide like what's going to be the thing that tips you over the edge and makes it, easy for you to win, or, solidifies your downfall. And I think Witness Gaming have more hurdles to kind of jump over when it comes to solidifying mids or last pushes or anything like that Froyotech likely have slightly more down. So I think it's still safe to say that they are relatively the favorite. However, the final scoreline or how close this match will even be for this map in particular, who knows?
Yeah, it could be a coin toss, but if you're feeling confident, you can put your predictions in the chat as we are about to go live. Both teams have readied up, and we can wonder no longer about how these two teams stack up as we're going to be going live on our very first mid, Froyotech versus Witness Gaming Xiao, and immediately just going to be watching the demos on this very first rollout. Logan kind of hitting the doorway a bit, going to be a bit slower. Habib already gaining a lot of ground, and it's going to be an early bomb coming in onto Habib. A lot of damage, and finally going to get the kill. That's going to be Logan. So a great opening for Witness Gaming Xiao. They did lose one in the process, but to get a demo, they're going to be very happy with that. But there's going to be a soldier flanking through Valley. Both bombs going to be coming in over towards Choke. So much damage. Nice serve from Hubba to stay alive, but they've been forced out of mid. Froyotech are going to take that ground, and it seems like they want a bit more.
Yep, they found themselves on the platform after basically losing mid, the side of Witness Gaming Xiao. They have most of their team here. They are missing Minaj, but because they do have some sort of defense up, Froyotech will go ahead and say, no, it's fine. We don't need to be greedy about anything more. We'll go ahead and get the cap up, and they will take the first mid fight. Both teams' medics did survive throughout it all, despite a couple kills being traded back and forth, so overall it is a stalemate, the first stalemate of this two-map series as Froyotech begins to move their way through Valley. We'll see if they go straight for some sort of bomb, or if they go behind. I think going behind is slightly more their style, but we'll see if they ultimately commit to one or the other. Soapy is around by Choke. If he does go ahead and need to commit onto the medic, I think Speedy for now is just kind of distracting, at least a tad. But no one's quite pulled the trigger yet. I mean, he's poking around Cafe, trying to tie up one of the soldiers, making it harder for Spam to actually go on his Valley area, giving Habib some breathing room. But Soapy bombing in. Maybe the bait was towards one of the soldiers. He ends up surfing the rocket out and is fine though. So overall, just some poking and prodding, not a real committal from the side of Froyotech that just burned some time off the clock, but maybe after seeing how the Bleed team has been posturing off of their moves so far, they'll be able to get a better idea of what moves they want to make to try to break the stalemate in the near future.
Yeah, it's just going to be a waiting game if you are on Witness Gaming Xiao. You can already kind of see Robotnik was over in lobby, maybe just trying to cover off the flank play. As you can see them bomb in super deep. They want to try and take down Kobe. They're doing a lot of damage. They might be able to get the kill, but no. A soldier bomb Soapy is going to be able to buy some time for Kobe to escape, but not without losing his life. So Witness Gaming Xiao, they've got a player advantage. Are they going to do something with it? Seems like Moose very aggressive actually towards Valley, and they are going to take it in. A much later use from Froyotech. They haven't used it all. Now they finally do get the counterforce out. Moose still going to be in. Might be able to find one, so that's going to be okay. If they do lose Logan, Hubba also going to die over in Valley. And Habib already wrapping around. They're getting counter-wrapped, though. Lol guy might be going down. He's surfing up into the sky. He's going to be able to stay alive. And now it's just Minaj rushing forward. Can Lol guy defend himself with Arrow trying to play around the column? And it's not going to happen. And somehow they were able to win that very scrappily, though, Jarrett.
Yeah, the sticky sink from Habib was great to get that Uber out early, and they bought a lot of time, but they really failed to actually kill him when he separated from Hubba. It made things a lot more crazy. Speedy ended up dying in the back line, so despite having such a worse Uber and having Hubba die in the Valley area, I mean, it made the post Uber kind of weird. There was people behind that you had to clean up with, so you couldn't all group together properly, and it just made it super scrappy. So even though that scenario started to look really, really bad for Witness Gaming as they entered into mid, they salvaged it just enough to make sure they didn't actually lose anything serious. And in all actuality, they ended up granting themselves a small Uber ad because of the time difference of the medic deaths.
Well, one time wasn't it. Canvas, second time, be fruitful for Witness Game. You can see them already in Valley, telegraphing it pretty hard. Nice pipe coming out. Aimer going to be bombing in a lot of damage onto Speedy. It's going to force him out of a hype, but he is going to lose his life for it. They're getting a lot of grounds here. They do manage to find that kill onto Speedy, and that might be enough to force Froyotech out. Seems like they want to try and play in a little bit, but no, they are going to back up. They were so close to getting their own Uber, but they're not going to get it in time, so that's going to be Witness Gaming Xiao taking control of mid.
Yep, just slow, methodically make sure the soldier is unable to go ahead and get the force there or go for any sort of play. So they don't necessarily, go in and get a bunch of space and a bunch of kills, but getting a point for free, you can't really be mad at it. And Minaj already up on Sniper. It's going to be the first Sniper play of the game. The surprise shot, so he's going to be the most deadly. It looks like it might be Cafe as the door of choice here. Unsure how much of a shot he's really going to get without just going for a straight hero shot coming out of the door here, but maybe he finds a soldier going for some ammo or something. This will be the shot here. The reveal shot does not quite hit the mark, so they know the sniper is on the field. They likely know that it's going to be a scout if they go ahead and spot some players here, and they actually see this cross into Valley, so they know how they need to respond. And Soapy, he finds more than just a sniper. He finds a headshot on him as well, so needs to be careful about his HP, but they can't just let him take shot after shot. They gotta do something. It looks like Cafe aggression is going to be the ticket, but Loaf carefully times his exit, making sure that despite being red HP, he does indeed escape with his life. So, I mean, making moves is the correct thing to do, but they don't quite find what they're looking for on the side of Froyotech. Witness Gaming still have some room here and some time to see if they can find a kill.
Yeah, still trying to play around their sniper. Loaf, again, the only man holding kind of towards Cafe, as everyone else in Witness Gaming Xiao kind of posted up, trying to get Minaj some type of opportunity to go for something. Here comes Aimer. He's just going to be wrapping around. Actually gets a lot of damage onto Soapy Meister. Is going to fall over in choke, and Loaf might fall towards Cafe. Not going to be able to have the same type of escape as last time. So with both soldiers down, this is going to be a great opening for Froyotech. They're just going to be walking in. Minaj going to be leaving through Cafe. No real good sight lines through there to maybe try and get a cheeky force out from Froyotech. So that's going to be Froyotech retaking control mid and actually denying the soldier spawn, so it's going to be a lot easier for them to push on the second.
Yeah, I mean, they really need this opening sniper shot to hit someone or they're kind of screwed. He gets ornamented, blasted away. Is he gonna? No, he doesn't live. But Soapy does give up his life for it. They could use this Uber to buy time if they wanted to, or go for some sort of aggressive play. Aimer is gonna go in, almost finds a kill onto a lot of players, including Habib, but it'll actually be the opposing element of Logan who gets pistoled down by Kobe. So, I mean, eventually push comes to shove, you gotta decide if you're holding that or not, and they find themselves a couple players down here. Now they finally have to use going in, trying to get on Habib. Gets the kill on the Bandy, but point, gotta be careful. Speedy gets on it, gets right off. Habib will end up dying. He won't hold his Uber. Logai has communicated that he does not want to use his Uber, but his players are aggressive enough that he will finally have to use after so many of them died. Both soldiers unable to get the cleanup damage. They need to get much more than a Minaj kill. So be trying to find those out as they're in Cafe, finding their way out to mid. And, I mean, most certainly a miscommunication on was that going to be a counter or was that going to be a milk in lobby, and thus you see Froyotech have a couple mistakes here that make them put them in this scrappy position. Going in, aggressive. Aimer will end up dying. Loaf in the corner gets piped down, will end up accidentally killing himself trying to rocket jump away, and these two kills are just what Froyotech needed. Moose unable to find the escape, and Froyotech, despite stumbling before, are in a great position now.
Yeah, they are in a really great position. Bandy a little bit too eager. Tried to go for the pincer play, not quite working out. Here's going to be the bomb from Soapy as the respawners do come out from Witness Gaming Xiao. And I think that kill onto Soapy is going to buy them just enough time to get them all out. They do have slight Uber advantage and they are peaking a little bit, but a low guy is at 90. You can see them managing to push out actually and force Froyotech to give up a lot of ground. And I think Froyotech, low guy's just kind of stuck in. They are going to have to use this Uber. Logan, oh my god, he's going to be able to nice splash to keep him up and alive. And oh, the collapse coming in from Witness Gaming Xiao, just cleaning up Froyotech. And it's only going to be Lolgai and Habib, the last ones. And I don't know if they're going to be able to get out of this one alive.
Yeah, that was some serious greed with the fact they didn't quite have their Uber yet. They tried to show some sort of presence as if like, yeah, we're going to fight this. We totally have Uber. We don't have 90. but they just caught themselves in a weird, awkward corner. They couldn't actually progress in when they were clumped up, just find themselves in a bad way, taking too much damage, and losing 2 people before the Uber's even over is going to net them a nice, cozy spot near their own last, as 2 is almost certainly gone. Red health players across the board will get slowly arrowed up, but no kills to be had, as we are finally at another stalemate here, as I don't think they're going to be using this 15 ad. I mean, it's technically possible, but I think they're a bit too slow for it. We're poking towards lower a bit. They might think they have... okay, they're just getting... it's actually 20 now because of the building. This is actually a good point where they could finally get some extra time going in. Going for the air shot. They need to get on it now because the Uber's almost available for Logai, 98%. It is going to be in play, but unnecessary, as they do not quite get enough, and actually Loaf finding himself dead inside lobby, as well as his soldier partner Aimers. So a little bit more than they can chew here, as Minaj might be the only saving grace here for their play in the last.
It's not going to work out for Minaj either, so unfortunate for Witness Gaming Xiao. They got a lot of great cap time, but weren't able to close it out. Habib bombing the choke as Banny rushes over in Valley, trying to catch out Loaf, as Froyotech on the aggressive here, going forward. Banny might be able to get this early pick onto Low. Super weak man. Oh, but the trap! Logan gets Logai. Oh my god, and now Witness Gaming Xiao, they are going to stay in here. They want to go all in onto Hubbard if they possibly can, equalize the medic situation. You can see the Froyotech players kind of wrapping around. It's going to be Kobe lurking over in Valley. Moose has spotted him though, and is going to make quick work of him, and no one on Froyotech is really in position now to make a play onto Hubbard. Soapy Meister is going to die over in Cafe. Does trade out with Logan, so that's going to be okay, but that is disaster for Froyotech.
Yeah, I think it was a body shot plus roller about the same time, so couldn't really see it coming and just took way too much damage. So the loss of an Uber when you expect it to happen is going to be a huge kick in the butt, as they once again find themselves at last. Froyotech as Kobe up on Sniper. It is disad, so this isn't necessarily an SVS here, more just trying to make sure they don't milk through the doorway. The loose cannons are out. Habana is knocked back a bit, but it's not going to affect the blue team pushing too much. Moose will get flashed in time. Sophie is on the parachute, will get cleaned up, 1-for-1 trade. Sniper still on the field with the medic over on the left-hand side from the attacker perspective as it enters a 4v4. Logai bombed, will get killed by the side of Loaf. Only 2 alive for the side of Froyotech, and 1 just got headshot. Things are not looking great. There is a respawn in 1 second, but there's a demo man on the point. Just Habib, who will end up dying in the first round, goes in favor of Witness Gaming Xiao.
Witness Gaming Xiao taking that first one, and we were kind of talking a little bit earlier that sometimes it can take Froyotech a bit of a minute to warm up, and maybe Witness Gaming Xiao's best success is going to come from getting in there fast and, you know, quick onto Froyotech. But that was a 12-minute round. Seems like they should be pretty warmed up by now, and Witness Gaming Xiao really taking it to Froyotech and looking pretty convincing on that first one. Are they going to be able to repeat it, or are Froyotech going to find something in response? You can see the early bomb from Aimer onto Habib. Not going to commit as he did last time. Habib going to be able to stay alive a little bit longer in this fight, as both soldiers just going to be jumping. Habib taking a bit of spam. Froyotech super aggressive, as everyone is so weak on Witness Gaming Xiao. They're all so low. They're going to have to back up into Cafe. Robotnik is just waiting for some type of help, and a big bomb coming in from Sophie Spoon onto his former teammate Logan. It's going to be a 3v3, 2 scouts in the mid versus a scout and a demo, and a medic across the point. Minaj making his way forward, gets taken down by the sticky trap. That's only going to be Moose and Habada. It's only going to be Habada, and a nice
89.
surf, to be fair, but it's not going to be enough.
No, just too much damage. Froyotech, you know, they find themselves another mid. Good salvaging after the dominoes fell in the previous round. That's a late enough death where they can really get the ball rolling. They're starting to poke and prod into the lobby, see if they can get some extra kills here. They will get some damage onto the explosive classes, but not quite enough to write home about as they go ahead and jump out and go and resup. Got the pyro, got the engineer on the field. That will go ahead and be the play for trying to defend last. No sniper to be seen as Froyotech, they've entered lobby through the lower right-hand area, trying to figure out which door they want to go to. Looks like it's going to be the left-hand side. This is where the pyro and gun are going straight into them, trying to take them down first. Maybe the pyro, no. Gun will fall, moving, Sticky's trying to bring the soldier over, scope will bomb in. Aimer on the waiting list will go ahead and be the second string, but no one's quite overkilled the point yet. No kills quite yet up until now, where Minaj and Moose both fall. Logan in no man's land, away from his teammates, will end up getting a shot down, and was started slow and methodical, and was a bit unclear if it was going to actually amount to any kills during the Uber. All of a sudden, everyone on the blue team just began to explode, became misplaced, and as quick as that first point conversion happened in the series events in the prior round, you get slapped right back, and Froyotech typed the game 1-1.
Yeah, the super quick response from Froyotech. If you're them, that's exactly what you wanted. The first round, pretty long, and you ended up as the loser that one. Super quick as the victors, and now they're going to be seeing if they can do that again. Habib taking a little bit of early damage, opting to come out from Valley instead of choke, as he's been kind of the victim of that fast bomb from the soldiers on Witness Gaming Xiao. Speaking of soldiers, they're both going to be bombing in, actually landing over towards Valley. Soapy is going to be committing a lot of damage onto Hubba, not enough to find anything. Lol guy, super weak, and they're all rushing in. They do manage to find the medic, but but Lol guy is probably not going to be able to stay alive. Does surf over to the pack, but Habib has got a lot of work cut out of him. If he wants to keep him alive, not going to happen, and they are just petting the medic, keeping him alive for as long as possible so they delay his spawn. And Lol guy, recognizing that, is going to kill bind and send himself back to the respawn room, and that's going to be a mid capped up for Witness Gaming Xiao.
It was looking relatively close, but I think the big kicker is there were way many more Froyotech players that were standing on kind of on top of each other than previous. And because one of the soldiers, I think, landed in Valley as their team kind of kited towards their own choke, it created kind of a cutoff point away from the people that were still over by the enemy Tetris. So it made it much more easy for them to actually lose their team because they were afraid of re-aggressing and properly trading kills off of the deaths of their comrades. So Witness Gaming Xiao, they figured out how to get mid under control, although they are back into a little bit of a slower situation. Not quite a stalemate. They do have an ad to work with. It is a little on the smaller side, but a demo bomb could work, and Logan, off he goes.
Oh my god, they are just bombing all the way in. It doesn't seem like they're going to be able to catch anyone, though. There is an escaping soldier. Speedy might be caught over and lower. Yeah, he is going to. So that Uber only getting one and the point. Going to be okay if you're Witness Gaming Xiao, as long as you don't lose Loaf, as they're trying to get onto him. Froyotech going to be instantly coming right back out, and Hubba is going to be disconnected from everyone over in Valley. And this is going to be a field day for Froyotech, getting a lot of kills, but not converting as many of them as they'd like. Robotnik coming back in, doing a bit of damage. Witness Gaming Xiao, they have so much cap time. They're going for it. They get onto Lol guy. They capture up the point. And Minaj, oh, it seems like he was going to make a play for the last point. Loaf with the skill stick, gonna take down Speedy, and he's just he's gonna go. He's thinking about going to last. Tried to out juke Soapy Meister, not gonna happen. And the chaos has netted Witness Gaming Xiao control of second, however temporary that may be.
Yeah, Froyotech, they had a little bit of an issue trying to actually get many kills, but because this cap is in favor of the blue team, they have an opportunity to poke and prod here, despite losing some players and taking some damage. Red, this is not really in Red's favor, and actually blue team is on crits right now, so even if this doesn't go crazy well for them, if they can at least stalemate it out, they could use the crit advantage, but they're actually gaining enough kills. Froyotech is actually playing so far this series relatively risky, and it's not really working out as blue team's just kind of on last already. Teasing the cap, bringing him over to the scout, a little bit isolated. Banny will end up falling. Aimer tossed around just a tad, will find a kill on a speed. Will he melee the medic? Not quite, but Little Guy will end up running into Logan Stickies. It's just Habib left alive. And so far, high risk, high reward. The reward is not there. Froyotech will blunder just a tad. Witness Gaming will capitalize perfectly to a 2-1 lead in their favor.
Yeah, a really great response from Witness Gaming Xiao, and it seems extremely back and forth. Obviously, we're kind of theorizing what these teams would be like, you know, before it, because they haven't really seen each other throughout the season. No one quite knows where these two stack up, but it seems like it's pretty even, and it means that we're hopefully going to be in for a really great series. Soapy Meister's going to be the one to go super aggressive, gets onto Logan, not enough to get the kill, and now Froyotech going to be coming into this mid with a player down, and you can see them giving it up. All of them except Habib, who really lingered and choked a bit too long, considering what the rest of his team was doing. Banny is going to escape, but Witness Gaming Xiao, they just want more.
Yeah, he was lingering by just a second, and that's enough. Meanwhile, Aimer almost got the kill on the Lol guy. Not quite, as overall it is favorable for the side of the blue team in terms of players alive, as they're still trying to push in the lobby, see if they get some sort of kill. Both bombing in for lower, goes to the air shot, doesn't quite hit it. They want to see if they can get some sort of trade as they begin to poke and prod and see if they can get another kill onto Soapy, who is weak, but he will not fall. Goes ahead, resubs, he's A-okay. But with these soldier deaths, red team, Froyotech, they're seeing what's available. They're at least opening the shutter to see if they're close enough or out of position, but they will not quite find anything. Everything's right now locked down by the side of the blue team despite the soldiers that they had dead, and have a sniper on the field once again. No counter sniper. This is once again the surprise shot. Not really aware of the sniper's existence, at least for now, as they're already in a kind of an anti-sniper position, so Lowell guy's at least relatively safe, but can't really quite say the same for like the engineer, or actually they do have a sniper on the field now. Kobe is on sniper, but Minaj will end up being the first to fall in this stalemate.
Yep. So that is going to be Witness Gaming Xiao backing out of lobby. Aimer still going to be looking actually into lobby. Gets the shot off onto Speedy. Kobe going for the slow peek as well. Super slow is actually going to back up as Robotnik takes down Soapy as well. So that's going to be both Froyotech soldiers out of the equation, making it a lot easier to spam the gun. Bandy having to move it to a different situation. It's going to be taken down regardless, and they are already in. Getting a little bit of cap time on point. The Ubers have been exchanged. This is an opportunity for Witness Gaming Xiao to go up 3-1 versus Froyotech. Bandy with that Uber on the engineer, not finding much. Nice body shot, nice headshot from Aimer, and that is going to be 3-1 in the favor of Witness Gaming Xiao. And you know, I want to obviously Froyotech, but this is the Froyotech roster that was going to go to Poland, and I think a lot of people thought was going to win. Obviously, we don't know how they would have stacked up, but Witness Gaming Xiao really impressing at the moment.
Before we started the cast, I was talking about how Sunshine and Granary would differ, and my prediction was that the way that Froyotech's playstyle is very volatile and risky, that Granary would be a lot more punishing and be a much more even game and less favorable for them, but Sunshine they would probably have on lock. But it might be the other way around, where the volatile playstyle and their high-risk, high-reward gameplay is not really quite working out, as it seems to be okay for now, at least for this mid. They've band-aided what happened previously, as the arrow doesn't quite hit onto Soapy, so a 4v3 turns into a 3v3, and Witness Gaming finds some extra breath here to go ahead and solidify this cap. Is, I mean, they kind of wanted to poke, but with Low Guy, 100 HP, not the healthiest. Demo Man on the field still, as Logan's locking things up. That's gonna go ahead and be a Witness Gaming mid victory, and we already have the spy on the field.
Now, it's going to be a very early off class coming out from Witness Gaming Xiao. Of course, in a stalemate, not too unusual to see an off class, but for it to be the first thing you immediately do, Froyotech might not be expecting it, especially considering we haven't seen too many off classes in this situation before. He is on stock watch, so he is a little bit stuck for time as he tries to go for something, but Aimer coming in for the bomb to try and follow up does a lot of damage, but Lol Guy, he is not going to use to that, one of the best medics in the game, and he is not scared in that situation. They are going to be down to one player ad for Froyotech to try and do something.
Yep, trying to work their way through the choke here. Speedy making some space, doesn't want to take too much damage, has some health packs to work off of, but his team has gotten through. Loaf going behind. Kobe actually really aggressive, doesn't take too much damage. Habib, on the other hand, takes tons, but the force is indeed gained. Blue team running forward, trying to get some extra kills. Kobe will end up dying. Overall trading for Loaf, though. Moose will die in the cafe area as the Uber ends over on the red side cafe as they begin to work their way back in the mid through the choke, using the Uber, finding Pavita, Minaj, and Logan all dead in different parts of the map. It is just Aimer left alive. He takes the pack, tries to find a way to do anything, but he does not have the pain train here to go ahead and go for a back cap. So try to find a way to get Habib, or at least slow him down, make him a non-factor on 2 if possible. Kobe is there to help him though, and it's only a matter of time. Soapy even went back as well to make sure that Habib wasn't going to die, so they bought a little bit of time to make sure that Witness Gaming can actually set up something on 2 that they can't, Froyotech can't just steamroll on the 2 using player advantage. They're going to have to, well, they could still try to do it because of Aimer's death, but it'd be much more difficult considering it's only a one-man disad. As they work their way through, Soapy bombing in onto the platform. They're crunched on top of each other.
Oh my god.
They're dead in the grass. It's only 2 left alive, and Froyotech barely had to give up anything for it. Once again, Aimer, he's trying, he's spotted, he's dead.
Yeah, that was absolute just Froyotech coming in, cleaning up house completely. And now it's going to be Low Guy and Speedy on the right. Habib locking down the left. And it's going to be Low Guy on the cap. Habib gets one onto Loaf. And that is going to be Froyotech with the response 3-2. And, you know, they're not out of this at all. We've still got a lot of TF2 just in this game alone. 7 minutes left before we go to continuous overtime, and I would not be surprised to see this as a 5-4 game. Question is, who is going to be the victor?
The mid is definitely going to set the pace for who is going to be taking these last couple rounds. You know, Witness Gaming, they haven't been quite out of it yet, but Froyotech has been looking pretty okay, so we'll see if that trend continues or if we'll keep flip-flopping back and forth with adaptations based on what they see. So far, slightly more damage pushed on the side of Witness Gaming, but both soldiers going for phase. Actually, one's committing. They're all on top of each other. Loki gets 2 kills in the air. Are you kidding me? Everyone on Froyotech, they got a salvage at this point. Sophie not going to find too much. Speedy gets someone on the backlines, I think, but he's not really going to find too much more as there is no one presenting himself. The rest of Witness Gaming are happily on mid. And Loaf with the kills, setting the pace for that mid and locking things down, securing them this mid win.
Yeah, that was just so much carnage out on the field. But Witness Gaming Xiao in a really great position, keeping Hubba alive, taking down Lol Guy. They do have to worry about the Kobe 1920 sniper. He's posted up over towards bats, as it seems like we do have a pause out on the field. So obviously 90 seconds into the future, we don't know quite exactly what the game state is like when they did pause, but looking at it right now, great opportunity for Witness Gaming Xiao to potentially get a 4th round. Seems like Froyotech, they want to try and hold on to this. They've committed at least 2. You can maybe argue Habib as well, depending on how quickly Witness Gaming Xiao does as he jumps out of the bats that might be caught here. Kobe, of course, could nullify that in an instant with a well-timed headshot onto even Logan, because he's probably in position. He'd be the one to go and bomb in. So if they take him down there, it makes it a lot easier for anyone else on Froyotech to get out. But as things stand, it's a kind of dire straits for Froyotech.
Yeah, this pause has major tack energy, but we'll see. You know, sometimes sometimes your internet sucks or your mouse breaks, and it's just one of those things. But yeah, Froyotech, really, it's going to be a lot on Kobe. I mean, them having a presence on 2, despite having the disad, is fine, considering they know that Aimer and Minaj are rolling out, and Loaf is not quite there to participate yet, so this choke presence can't really go further than choke for a long while, and that can give Soapy enough time to roll out, enough time for Kobe to scope in. And they can get something going, like some sort of actual defense to force Hubba and escape to last. And I think Froyotech is not a team that will sit on last with their ad and would rather fight mid again, despite their mids being relatively okay. I think they would definitely, predicting the main call would be to try to use their ad to push out of last and just trust that they can cover their bases properly and not get back capped. So in that situation, where some teams be like, there's no point because we would just sit on last anyway, it is worth it for them if they are continuing to go with the style of, no, we're going to push the envelope, we're going to do risky stuff, and that's okay because we're Froyo and we'll find a way to win eventually. But the question is will they succeed and go ahead and get this force? Because they might just, it might not really result to anything and they have to just go ahead and leave after their presence is kind of pushed out gradually. Or, if Kobe gets bombed from one of the soldiers eventually coming in and taking them out and they lose at people, that could be even worse. Because it's not like this is like a small disad and they buy time. In worst case, they can do some sort of Uber exchange on last. If Blue Team does this fast enough, this is a ad that it is immediately used for last because Freud didn't buy enough time to get an Uber of their own. Which is why I think this is very much tack pause coded, but anything can happen. Minaj is so far away, he cannot participate, so they have that in their back pocket.
In 60 seconds.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Froyotech could try and go for something on maybe one of the unguarded flanks without Minaj there, but at least as it stands, Witness Gaming Xiao in a really good place in at least this first match. Of course, if you're just joining us, we do have a second match after this, regardless of how this one ends, because they've decided to play their regular season matches back-to-back, Sunshine first, and then after this, it's going to be Granary. So a complete change of pace, still going to be 5 CP, but maybe you can put quotation marks around the 5 parentheses because some might call it a 7 CP map and a little bit slower and maybe might favor Froyotech's playstyle a bit more than what we've seen, that super aggressive kind of let's just go for anything where Froyotech we can do it type of gameplay. That's kind of been their motto for quite a few seasons now, but as actually we are going to be going live here, and so we are going to see if anything does happen. Speedy gonna go aggressive, and Witness Gaming Xiao gonna rotate actually towards Valley.
Ooh, I don't think Loaf got the memo, and Moose gets dropped, and and Aimer gets headshot. It's a disaster. Maybe this wasn't an attack after all. The Uber's end, Hubba is dead. Oh no, it's just Logan left alive. Mistake after mistake. He is jumping in. He's going for glory. Finds the sniper. Medic? No. Not even a little bit of damage, really. As, you know, he really went for it. Couldn't find quite anything. And Froyotech in a pretty good spot here, trying to see if they can block some forwards. Won't succeed, but Logan is not quite there in the picture, and this Uber is available for Logai if they need it. It's a little awkward, because there is a sniper on the field still, and Speedy's rolling out, so you know the flank is extremely weak. Loaf bombing in, and knowing the cafe side is free, he can stay in there and get some damage. On the choke, will get piped down by Habib, so down 1. Witness Gaming down 2. Logan rolls out just to die. Oh, the shoot's on the other foot. Oh, they were poking and prodded into 2, and now they find themselves leaving their own 2 after multiple plays and multiple headshots coming out of the side of Froyotech. This Uber is ready to go if they need it. 50% ad. They're going in, just walking, and they got the melee out. Wants to go for the bunny hop spoon. Doesn't quite hit it on the Logan. Will not get saved by the Uber. The sword's out. The resup line will save Logan's life, but the cap will go through in Froyotech's favor. That's a 3-3 game, and this is a Froyo tactical pause after winning that round.
Oh, so you were right in that it was a tech pause, and probably right that it was a Froyotech pause, but not the scoreline we thought we'd see when that was first happening. So Froyotech managing to turn it around in a really great time. So it's going to be 3-3. Only 2 more rounds for either team, and they are guaranteed to win, of course. If we don't have a round before that, it's going to go into infinite overtime, and it could be a 4-something game. Regardless, we go on to this mid. Speedy going to be jumping over towards Cafe, where he might spot out Loaf, get a little bit of early damage onto him. Williams Gaming Xiao still playing around their choke, are finally starting to rotate over towards Valley as Froyotech get a little bit aggressive across the point. Aimer super weak, and it is going to be 2 going down for both teams. Habib going to fall for Froyotech, so no demo as they try and rally around Logan on Witness Gaming Xiao. Can provide that spam. Minaj super aggressive on the point. Soapy just spamming all the way from a Cafe, and now it's going to wrap over to help his medic escape in a very slower, a lot more of a slower mid than we've seen, I think, previously, Jared, but it is going to be Xiao walking away with the victory on that one.
Yeah, with the kills gained in those first couple kills for that mid, Logan being alive is a huge boon for the side of Witness Gaming, and the only thing that Froyo could really do is just say screw it and bomb in, don't let Stalemates get tons of damage, but they were never really completely prepared, and Logan just kept focusing the soldiers, making sure that there's always at least one that couldn't really go and commit in, so that's really going to seal the deal and allow him to get the kill and go from there. There is a trap in the valley area, I think, or it might have already been dead. I'm not sure. No, it's still there. Okay, hidden in the rock, so that is a Habib trap. Got to be careful if you're Witness Gaming kind of traveling through the valley area, which they haven't quite committed through yet. They're still sort of around the choke and cafe area, seeing if they can bait someone in. They do have a sniper on the field, currently scoping up through the cafe side, have some relatively protected. Got to be completely, you know, careful when you're not 100% beamed, but some rotations are happening over towards the valley side. Maybe the trap will come into play here. Is it still there? I'm zooming out. This trap is still there. Probably waiting for a scout or a sniper. Judging by how far back they're playing on the side of Witness, they're maybe expecting some sort of double soldier bomb. They didn't actually commit into the valley really at all. But so far, Froyotech has made 0 moves despite knowing the sniper exists. So eventually they gotta pull the trigger, but they're being very patient, at least for now.
Yeah, to be fair to them, Robotnik hasn't deep peeked a lot. He's been playing pretty far back in Valley, but he's starting to move up a little bit, take more aggressive peeks as he's just playing around that doorway, just trying to see if he can maybe get something. Froyotech having to put a few more eyes on it in response, but at least for the meantime, no one falling, no one committing, everyone managing to stay alive in this stalemate as the match is kind of becoming a little bit more tense maybe than, I don't know if Froyotech expecting it, but Witness Gaming Xiao really giving them a run for their money as Robotnik trying to go for maybe a hero peek there, just wants to waltz in and see if he can get the drop onto Lolgai. Lolgai doing well to play around the point, really play protected as we do have the bomb come in. It's going to be from Loaf, not going to find anything, and it's going to be Xiao to back up and wait what Froyotech do in response.
Yeah, and it's kind of sketchy because this sniper has to hit his first shot, or you are just going to get hunted down by one of the soldiers, or have to get save with an Uber if Froyotech decide they want to make a move here. But no, they're not even sending a counter. I think Soapy kind of like looked and saw to see if it was worth it, perhaps, but overall didn't want to commit because You know, if you go ahead and commit, then it's even easier for someone to go behind or that sniper to have extra room to see people. So don't want to bother. Just let the clock run out. Let Witness Gaming make some sort of bigger mistake is going to be their play for now. Is Minaj runs through, finds Sobe, didn't expect to be there, but Habib dying to a headshot. The bomb comes in, does not quite get the force. Little guy still okay for now. Goes down into the lower area to go ahead and get the pill bottle, but they recognize that he goes and leaves her health and allows Witness Game to go ahead and walk in, but this Uber unexpectedly comes in, takes Logan out of the equation, unable to be saved, and there is the sniper stuck in the Uber scenario like I was mentioning before. Not the location I expected, but still happened nonetheless as the dominoes begin to fall. Two important and effective classes dead right now on the side of Witness Gaming means no contention over mid whatsoever, and Froyotech successfully bided their time for Witness Gaming to make a mistake, surprise them, take mid for themselves, and with this pick they have onto Aimer, they could begin to go ahead and do a dry here. Just 6v5 it. They've done it once before and it worked out beautifully. Will they do it again with the same effectiveness though?
And of course, if they are successful in that dry push, they could win the game as we are in continuous overtime. Only one more round for either team for them to take this first map tonight. And Froyotech, they were thinking about the dry push. They end up not committing to it, so they're just probably going to be waiting for their Uber. Little guy now having 100%, so now they're going to start getting the buffs out, getting everyone locked and ready to try and pressure in onto Witness Gaming Xiao's second. So much of the combo over in Cafe. Sobe going to be bombing forward, getting a little bit good damage. Is going to get levitated over towards Choke, but the aggression coming in from the Soldiers. Loaf going in super deep. Banny might get caught out here. They really want so much, and Witness Gaming Xiao just flooding in through Choke while the rest of Froyotech were stuck over in Cafe. Speedy super weak, gonna have to jump back over to safety. Kobe might get caught. He does get caught. Habib might get caught. Is anyone gonna chase him? He does. The arrow not connecting in time, and now this is gonna be Witness Gaming Xiao on the offensive. You can already see Logan trying to keep Sophie Meister in spawn, and they is gonna be successful taking down Banny, locking his previous teammates over in spawn, and Witness Gaming Xiao immediately launching themselves from their second to their enemy second.
This could secure the game. It is even. You do have some room here, but there is still the Uber to buy time for Froyo to get their whole defense up. Logan dying is going to be huge to keep things going. Speedy will give up his life, but two of Witness Gaming are going to get found. As maybe even a third? No, Aimer is going to end up going and trading out. Oh, they're caught. They're stickied out. They kind of have to use here to save themselves. They will go ahead and see if they can get some sort of force out. They will succeed. Don't get body blocked is the name of the game. See if you can find a way to do something. And Moose will go ahead and run behind. See if he can maybe buy enough time for Hubba to get out. And he will succeed. No one was quite ready to actually go and chase him. They wanted to just go ahead and secure the cap to prevent some sort of back cap. But overall, Blue making sure that they can keep their medic alive, and they're only going to be down one player during this drive push, and Soapy's not even there. It's not even that big of a player advantage. Kobe in a little bit early, taking too much damage, will end up falling. Speedy trying to jump in and go ahead and help, but will not be able to find the weak players. Loaf trying to find his way onto Meister, but it's going to be Aimer that go ahead and get the kill inside Cafe. 2 picks in favor of Witness Gaming. Froyotech do not have any positioning here to go ahead and lock things down. We put up a really quick trap over on the platform side, but has to instantly dead it because it's immediately spotted, and Blue team, they're on the move.
We could see Blue try and go for a push, or maybe just a dry sack attempt onto Lolguy as Robotnik. He's going to be coming in, getting a good, actually not really getting any damage onto Habib. I thought he got that first rocket off, didn't. So Habib is going to be very well and healthy as now. This is going to buy time for Froyotech to set up their defenses, which they need to do, because if they lose this point, lose this round, they have lost the first map in this 2-map series we have going on tonight. As Witness Gaming Xiao, they're going to have Minaj up on snipers. Still a trap over in lobby. Doesn't dead onto low, so looking for a bigger target. But both teams are going to have snipers. Minaj versus Kobe, both really talented snipers in their own rights. Banny up on the sentry gun, as you'd expect from a Froyotech last defense. And can Witness Gaming Xiao break this?
So far, the blue snipers have been pretty on point, but we haven't seen too much SVS in particular. Kobe has actually gotten off some pretty nice shots as well, so you can't really count anyone out. This gun doing a pretty good job at protecting if anyone actually commits through the door. but it's all really going to be about these snipers. Are you going to be able to reset the clock by killing someone on the blue team, or will it be something different as Aimer bombs in? Surfs comes out, low guy is fine, the pill is there, the dispenser is still up to regen just a tad, and the snipe comes out onto Logan, overstaying as well for just a tad, and Soapy finding the timing, but not the damage, trying to escape. Some initiation in from Loaf, might get Soapy, no, the final rocket will not come out as Speedy collects that kill. It's 2 explosives dead, and a sniper on the field is huge room for the red team. However, Habib, a little too overzealous, same with Soapy, they were not quite on the same page in the pacing at which they needed to actually exit last if that was going to be the play. Moose just running in, finding a sniper alone with the medic.
Oh my God.
To 4 HP and then he uses. I mean, Speedy, oh, he's left in no man's land, can't be flashed, they're going in different directions. Froyotech, there's a lack of coordination here, the timing is off. Will this be the thing that makes them lose the map?
Oh my
and the
God.
headshot seals the deal on the medic. Witness Gaming persevere, 4-3 victory on this first map of Sunshine, and we are off immediately to Granary.
We are indeed, but of course, before we get too into the weeds about Granary, we do have to reflect in this time about what we saw in Sunshine, because that was a really great game. First off, I mean, congrats to Witness Gaming Xiao being the victors there. Of course, they can't be too happy. I mean, they can be happy, but they can't lose focus too much because they have another match coming up in just a few moments. But versus Froyotech, really great showing, incredibly close between the two teams. But you'd have to say, even with it being close, oddly enough, I think Witness Gaming Xiao, for a large majority of that, kind of looked a bit tighter and a bit more cohesive. Maybe that's just because Froyotech were going for riskier things, and when it doesn't pan out, it maybe looks a little bit sloppier. But Witness Gaming Xiao just eking out that win versus Froyotech on Froyotech's map pick.
I think, obviously, when you have such a close game, you can point to both sides and say, like, oh, well, this round was lost because of these mistakes, and these rounds were won because of these really good plays. I think out of all the things that are easy to spot versus difficult to spot, all combined, the one that's the easiest big difference between these two teams, at least on Sunshine, was you could see really well when Witness was trying to coordinate and be on the same page. I felt like a lot of the time I saw a player initiate or go for some sort of fight where I'm like, oh, is he gonna have follow-up? And then immediately I see, players behind that are going for the same type of play. They made sure that there was good communication, or at least there's something practiced beforehand to try to, get something successful. Even if it wasn't, at least it was like a fair attempt. They put the effort in. I feel like watching Froyotech, there were a lot of times where if it was not quite a moment where you got to sit and really talk about what's happening while you're building over or whatever, like it was kind of surprise, like, oh, the sacks are now, let's start to move, and things like that, or like, oh, our transition to the next point is beginning. People were walking through doors to commit to like the called play at not the same time. I saw Kobe going in before the combo is even in. I saw Habib walking alone without his combo like whatsoever. There was even that time where in the very beginning of the match, a completely separate issue where it was very clear that Lolgai was communicating like, this Uber is garbage, I don't want to use, even if we lose one player, like the rest of us can live and we'll just go with that later. While the other players are like, no, I'm going to linger in lobby because my medic's about to save me, and then we're going to go into last and have such a better Uber. And that like big disconnect is like, I think if you know the players, it's unsurprising to see that would ever happen, but is very unfortunate for Froyotech fans to see it happen in an important match like this, of all times, right? And they got heavily punished. So, and I think obviously the players are kind of smart enough to recognize if they're having communication issues and how much that attributes to any mishaps. This isn't necessarily the most important thing, but it's the most visual thing as, bystanders who are watching both these teams play. But is likely something that is going to get addressed. The question is will it actually come to anything in fruition when it's happening on such short notice, because you're immediately going in to not only another match, but a completely different map that is maybe the exact opposite of how Sunshine would play. Yeah,
especially that Sunshine game, because, there were, a a few slower moments, and there's a few choky points. Not really on that map. You know, Granary's complete opposite. It can be very slow with the right teams in the right setting, and there can be a lot of ground to cover. But for Froyotech, maybe a complete change of pace is what's going to be, you know, that's going to be what the doctor ordered. Of course, just quickly looking at the logs, it's pretty even, kind of down the board. I mean, almost you could even say that Froyotech just in general had a little bit better DPM than the majority of Witness Gaming Xiao, but it just kind of maybe goes to your point that, you know, the coordination was the thing that was kind of keeping Witness Gaming Xiao in it, and they were just able to use the damage that they did and build off of what each teammate did really, really well. And also the fact that they won a majority of the mids. They won 5 of the 7 mids. So when you're doing that, you're putting yourself in a really, really great position, all things considered. But now on to Granary. Obviously, completely different map, completely different kind of flow state, as you kind of mentioned. And this was picked by Witness Gaming Xiao, so that immediately makes me think, Jared, do you think that Witness Gaming Xiao are just going to have a really solid mid and make it that much more difficult for Froyotech to come in? Because while you can, you know, work your way back, especially on a map like Granary, that is so much ground that you might have to fight through, and so many, you know, potential uber pushes and stalemates and stuff like that that you don't really see on any other 5 CP map, because it's a kind of the 7 CP map. And I don't know, this could be another good opportunity for Witness Gaming Xiao to take a victory and or at least get an early lead with their mids.
It's really unfortunate for Granary because it is very hard to predict the mids, even though they're so important. Like, that's the main thing that you want to lock down, especially after we saw that the classic mid fights kind of dictate how easy it is for you to secure rounds with your back and forth gameplay with the opposing team. Except for a map like this, you have all the different strategies of we're going left lane, we're going right lane, we're going across the point, we're standing on the catwalk and on top of the crates. And then all those different strategies you can employ, trying to hot fix how exactly you want to coordinate based on the 4 different things that they could be doing as well. It's kind of like, it's hard to judge the mids of Granary between 2 teams accurately. More than any other map, unless you've actually seen their matchup on Granary before, because there's so many different combinations when you factor in the strategies that they're gonna pick versus how well can they adapt to what they're actually facing. It's like an extreme version of like the Viaduct problem, where it's like everyone's familiar with like, oh well, we practiced Viaduct in scrims all week, but our match had a perma sniper and we didn't get to practice against that, so all the scrims are useless, like that type of stuff. It's like that dialed to 11 for Granary mid. So the fact that it's like that, but yet the mids dictate so much on where you start this 7 CP hellscape, it's good luck. The last time that I did a real prediction on Granary, I didn't predict a score, I predicted a player to pop off, and that's what I was content with. So
well, you know what, I'm gonna be looking at the soldiers. Honestly, I'm gonna be looking at Robotnik maybe for Witness Gaming Xiao, and I think it's a toss-up between Speedy and Soapy. I could see both of them having really great games, but yeah, I can definitely understand that. But I mean, if you're Froyotech, you got to be hoping that your map is mapping whatever, like, I forget what the science term is, what, like, Punnett square, when you've got, like, all the left, right, you know,
yeah,
on top type of thing. They got to hope that they're going to be accurately predicting that, and they've got all those 16 kind of maybe potential different ways to fight this mid locked and loaded, because if not, they might be going down 0-2 versus Witness Gaming Xiao before playoffs, which are going to be happening pretty quickly. We don't know exactly when, but we will let you know as soon as we do. Should have word pretty soon, but that is going to be not a lot of time really for, you know, potentially Froyotech or Witness Gaming Xiao to really maybe think about what went wrong here. You know, it's not like they're playing halfway through the season and they can maybe fix all of these things. They're playing at the very end of the season back to back, so they have got to take as much learning, as much adaptations as they can from this if they're going to want to go into playoffs feeling pretty confident.
All right, I've thought about it more, and I decided to do a real prediction based on something I thought about. It was Granary that was I said was the map that I thought that the way that Froyotech's play style was, and that was so high risk, high reward. I personally don't think that the way they do it, or maybe even the play style in general, is that amazing for Granary. And I thought this was going to be the harder map for them. And if I still kind of believe that, which doesn't bode well for them in my mind if they struggled on a map that I would assume would be a bit easier to play risky and find a way to win. So I think that even though they can find some success, I feel like it will be really easy for them to accidentally screw up, and for Witness Gaming to just blow through the pseudo 7 CP-ness of this map. So I will say it will be a 3-1 victory for Witness.
I'm not sure as well. I'm gonna say 4-2. I think it's gonna be a lot of action. I do think Witness Gaming Xiao are gonna take it, at least tonight. They seem like the much kind of stronger team, but we're gonna have to see if that carries over as we go live on the very first mid, and it's gonna be Froyotech. Both teams actually kind of rolling out through Catwalk, everyone up there. The soldiers immediately getting onto Logan. Froyotech getting some good opening damage, but Robotnik gets a lot of damage onto Lolguy, kind of hold up over in that garage area. Kobe making a play onto Hubbard is gonna get defended by his 2 scouts. Speedy bombing in, takes down Minaj. Speedy super weak, just a few more chip damage would send him to the respawn room. It's not gonna happen. Banny walks forward, and he is on his revenge tour right now. He takes down Moose, is gonna be able to help take down Hubada, and that is going to be the very first mid going in the favor of Froyotech.
A very unique-ish kind of mid where they go right side but leave Logan as a scapegoat over by the health pack as if that they wouldn't be in that area whatsoever. A little on the riskier side, and almost paid off. They got a lot of Froyotech kills, but not quite what they were looking for in terms of not only solidifying the victory, but making sure that Lolguy wouldn't be able to hold on to his Uber here. So to last they go after this first mid. Froyotech cleaning things up and taking the first mid in their favor. Got to be careful of any sort of sniper play through the shutter, or you actually double soldier spam coming from upper right now as they're moving towards Lunchbox. Don't want to get ran down by scout speed as Soapy is ready and willing to take the super if they're too close. And yeah, around the corner they go. Soapy a little on the slower side. The gun is still up. They're going to where Logan is and successfully thwarting him backwards as pipes don't quite land. It is going to explode early. The gun is taken down, and a lot of cap time bringing over the soldiers. They're a little on the slower side though. They could just go ahead and get on it. But Logan getting some kills almost all the way through. They waited too long to go ahead and make sure this round was going to be theirs. Habib bombing in for the last hurrah. Will get taken down, and a bit slow, but doesn't quite seal the deal as Witness Gaming hold on. They got their Uber ready to go if they need it later on. Maybe even blocking the Doman spawn, which is huge for getting through this area without any sticky trap worries. And they might just use right now if Froyotech shows themselves close enough.
Yeah, Froyotech wanted to see if they can maybe get some presence on Yard. They are going to have to back up as the Uber comes in. Kobe does find one onto Loaf. It's going to be helped up by Speedy. They do find a few over in garages. Soapy Meister and the rest of Froyotech are going to be able to hold on to mid for a bit. But it seems like Witness Gaming Xiao, they want to go for the refight. Moose has wrapped around a bit of damage onto Lolguy. Super weak. Doesn't have Uber just quite yet, but everyone on Witness Gaming Xiao is falling. But Minaj comes in. Might be able to make a play onto Lolguy, and Lolguy not going to be able to defend himself with the solemn vow, and he is going to be sent to the respawn room. Here comes Logan wandering back out. Same thing with Minaj, but the Froyotech respawners are here. Logan does take down the enemy demo man. Demo and demo violence as Loaf respawning again. The respawners just kind of trickling in, all kind of dying each which way, and I think Froyotech are going to be able to hold onto the point just for the meantime because Lolguy did die earlier. They're going to have a slight bit of Uber advantage, so all in all, not too bad for Froyotech considering they were at Uber just had being pushed on their mid.
Yeah, and this is 5v4 dry right now. Actually, even more so in their favor. Yeah, Logan was really aggressive as if he had his whole team there, and they cut off Hubada. I mean, the people rolling out were not quite actually there in the yard for that fight to happen. They had enough people to actually hold 2, but not yards. So that little misplay there for the blue team is going to spell disaster for them as Loaf will end up dying. The sniper almost dies as well, trying to find his way into the shutter. They're going to get spammed down. No stickies on top of the point. Overall 1-for-1 trade. As a Witness game, they're trying to find a way to get some extra kills here. A nice headshot on Habib will help things out. And the Uber will go ahead and go out. Speedy high bombing in, trying to find a way onto the sniper. Logan will end up dying. Nice body shot
Oh,
on
nice.
Speedy, taking him out, but blue team, they barely have enough in the tank. Not quite enough to get to the point in time, and Froyotech will go ahead and cap this up 1-0.
Really good stuff from Froyotech. A bit of a chaotic round at certain points, but they are going to be the first ones walking away with a point on the board. And if you are Froyotech, you wanted to see a little bit stronger showing from them. If you're a Froyotech fan, definitely what you want to see. Froyotech coming in 1-0, as we do have a long travel time to mid. Might be the longest in the game. I'm sure you know that, Jared, as a demo man yourself, but it is one of the most kind of chaotic mids, as we've kind of discussed previously. Habib and Logan just kind of looking at each other, shooting stickies, not even deading them, but the bomb is going to come through. Soapymeister fading around, is going to commit now, as everyone over in the enemy team's garage takes so much damage. Not going to fall, but they're all super weak, but they're getting the kills regardless. Logai is super weak. Aimer not going to be able to find the kill, but there's the Scout Minaj coming up to help clean him up. It's only going to be Banny last one up. He's not going to be able to do anything except find revenge onto Aimer, and that is going to be Witness Gaming Xiao with control of mid.
Yeah, I think same strategy, but different lane this time from the side of Witness Gaming Xiao. Instead of going on the right lane and bringing their entire team to the opposite side of the map, they went down the left lane, and actually them ducking overall into the garage made it much easier for them to isolate some kills and keep their team protected, so they weren't able to, like, have anyone at risk of dying, especially Habada, who has already climbed his way up, ready to Uber through the upper area when his team gets here. He got a sniper on the field and an engineer to kind of get the defense going on Froyotech's side. Sticky's on the point as well to kind of defend it, but it looks like they've decided to not go through the pipe. They're just bombing straight in. They get this gun down behind the box, moving and cutting over to the left-hand side. Soldiers on top of the pipe, ready to bomb in over to the point. One actually kind of weak. Speedy will end up dying to a stray. Sticky to Logan dying as well on top of the point, bringing over both the scouts and the soldier from the side of Froyotech. My game crash is sick.
Oh, well, as you probably could assume, judging by where they were, that is going to be Witness Gaming Xiao winning that round. Soapymeister.
It was such an explosive victory. My game just couldn't handle it.
Fair enough. Neither could Froyotech either, as they are going to be going down a round. So it's going to be one all Soapymeister on the parachute, really taking over a few kind of learnings from Europe. As if you didn't watch Poland, that was something they did quite a lot on quite a few holds. Logan going down fairly weak. Same thing for Habib, both needing to get that pack early on in this mid fight. As it's going to be Witness Gaming Xiao kind of rotating, counter-rotating opposite to Froyotech. Minaj can be the first one to fall. Robotnik hiding, is going to go for the bomb, not going to find too much, going to get denied by Banny, and Froyotech just absolutely wiping Witness Gaming Xiao. No one falling on Froyo, everyone falling on Xiao, and this is one of those moments where it can be very, very scary if you are the blue team.
Now the rock, paper, scissors starts to happen. Froyotech recognizes that Witness Gaming, and all they're really doing is just playing floor mid, so they send everyone up on top of the crates, so there's no one to kill on the floor. It's a full wipe for the mid, and it could be just a straight up full wipe for the last, so they get their first 2 kills onto both the scouts. Not really a good spot for Aimer to be in. The cap is going, and Froyotech with the smarts on the mid, playing a little rock, paper, scissors like I mentioned before, lead the game 2-1.
And that was a very quick round from Froyotech, and kind of the danger sometimes with these mids. You know, it is a long map, but it can feel so impossibly short when you're in that scenario where you have absolutely wiped. So Witness Gaming Xiao gonna have to hopefully adapt to Froyotech's adaptation of their own original mid strategy, as it's going to be, I'm going to be watching Logan is going to go out through Catwalk, going to be focusing Habib early on, and now the soldiers going to drop down. Seems like they're going to be going for a little bit of an early bomb. Loaf and Robotnik committing in super deep and just trying to mulch on the Froyotech and getting a lot of damage and a lot of success here. It's only going to be Moose. Can he keep Habada alive? I don't think so. Soapymeister is going to come in to clean him up, so both medics falling. Moose has got a 2v1 on his hand, 1 versus Kobe and 1 versus Soapy. The G6 duo not going to be defeated right there. That's going to be Froyotech winning the mid.
You know, the start wasn't that bad for the side of Witness Gaming, but I think they got a little bit too ambitious after they were able to get a couple key kills. Overall, the flank from Soapy was a bit on the detrimental side, because Habada kind of a fish out of water standing alone. They didn't really try to play protective after they got the kill onto Lolgai. Loaf does indeed find the kill on the Soapy, so that will make things a little bit easier for the side of the blue team. Makes it kind of harder to just go and straight up dry, but overall with the difference in the timing of the medic deaths, there is a little bit of an ad for Froyotech to go ahead and work with here if Witness Gaming shows themselves a tad too aggressive. And honestly, even though it's not huge, if Hubba and friends play a little too passive out of fear of a demo bomb killing them and cutting them off, them posturing too close and too passive to the shutter could just allow Froyotech to take the right hand side of yard for free. But considering they have Uber now, looks like they don't really want to do too much off of it. There was like a small difference in the deaths, but I guess they're just go ahead and taking it slow. This is Granary after all. So Witness Gaming, they're holding it really, really close here, trying to prevent things from getting too hectic when it comes to people cutting across into the other side of yard, or maybe a respawn sniper getting too many shots. And Habib, that's quite the kill to get if you're a Witness Gaming fan. There's no stickies on the field, because there's a lot of room for them to go ahead and try to get through without a fear of getting slowed down heavily by a lot of projectiles. Speedy bombing in, committing on the Moose, popped up into the air, will not quite find what he's looking for, and overall, this Uber is the only real thing that's going to be saving Froyotech unless there's a huge blunder from the side of Witness Gaming. Kobe is behind. He is a menace. He's starting the back cap. The Uber could be used to block here. They need to find a way to get into this and go ahead and get this going, because Kobe, he doesn't have anyone contesting him. Popped up to the air as Hubba will have to go ahead and use the Uber. The back cap is successful. He's not going to last because he knows the two people will be respawning there, and the team is go ahead and straight running to last out of fear for their life. Logan left behind as a scapegoat as everyone else meets up at their own last, and a successful back cap play from Kobe and the block from the rest of Froyotech on mid allows them to take a free two, and with this Logan pick, they can actually just start drying in the last here.
Yeah, they can with that control of second. They don't have to wait for anything. And Froyotech, they were peeking just a bit, but they do, yeah, there's going to be the sniper coming out from Minaj, and that's going to put a little bit of fear into Froyotech's heart, as now just kind of peeking those shutter doors is going to be a lot more dangerous. Got to make sure you don't unwittingly give Witness Gaming Xiao an opportunity to take down your own medic. So they're going to be taking the long route to rotate through. Soapy is going to die. So that is going to be one less Froyotech player holding these doorways, and any kind of plan that they maybe had to try and go for something is going to get delayed at least for a few seconds, buying more time for Witness Gaming Xiao to solidify their defenses. They got a sentry gun, and they've also got Minaj maybe just trying to spy check here, see if Soapy came up anything wacky, maybe trying to see if he came up onto the man treads, which would allow him to not take any knockback damage versus the sentry gun.
Yep, that would definitely be a big play. He does have the shoes on, it looks like. Yeah, he definitely has the shoes on. He is ready to ignore the knockback of this gun when he bombs straight in. Speedy's a scapegoat, immediately gets headshot. Need to wait a little bit here. I think Bandy's extremely weak too, so they're just doing a full reset, because if they, get a lot of room here with the Soapy bomb, they want to make sure they're healthy enough to at least follow through in some way, shape, or form. Maybe even pick a different door if necessary, but gotta find an angle. There's only so many ways to get in. They blasted back one of the soldiers to resup, so that's Loaf on for a handful of seconds. Gotta try to use whatever moments you really have. Otherwise, you're just burning time off the clock. As they're poking through once again the same side.
Loaf on the parachute.
Just wants to stay in the air, rain down on them. Soapy bombing in on the Hubba. Doesn't quite get enough. Did successfully get in because of the man treads, but just I don't think he really expected Hubba to be over there. So will not be successful. And now red team have to posture themselves. Beware of the sniper that could kind of end you if you show yourself too much. As got a demo holding the door open to allow him to go ahead and get free shots, and spam's raining down, but so far no deaths. Froyotech is playing relatively safe.
Yep, really great acrobatic footwork from Kobe to kind of be spotting these doorways without really getting himself into harm's way of the sniper, playing the props very well. And that's going to be Froyotech actually just using in the Uber, going all the way in. I was not expecting that one, and seems like Witness Gaming Xiao have not been too caught off guard by it. Aimer trying to go for the wraparound play. He found one onto Soapy, not going to find anything else, and now Froyotech just going to try and come in for the dry fight, see if they can get anything. Lolgai very far and away. They want maybe a play onto Hubba, who's pretty weak, but Speedy not going to be able to get enough damage to find the kill, as Froyotech they are kind of lingering around. Hubada not using at all there, actually. But just by the way it looks like they're playing, I don't think that they're going to push out. Froyotech already has 60%, but I mean, the headshot onto Banny is just going to make this inevitable push-in from Froyotech much less desirable.
Yeah, this is Granary. You don't push out because you get second, and then you still have to get through yard and mid, which is the big kicker here. Like, even if you didn't have to use your Uber and you took 2 for free, you still have to find a way to get through yard and mid before the round resets. So might as well just have it reset here and get yourself a mid fight. The Ubers exchange, they lose an engineer. Trying to get some cap time is speedy. ×1 will end up dying eventually as Froyotech. I mean, these situations where you just Uber in and cross your fingers rarely work out. Sometimes in a 1 in a million, you gotta go for it, but they got the card stacked against them this time, so they will go ahead and lock things down. But now, because it's a Froyotech wipe, Loaf going in early, getting some cap time, and blocking out the Banny and low guy spawn means that yard is free as well, and they have an ad to push into mid. So this situation is much more favorable than resetting the round.
It is indeed. Soapy taking a lot of damage over in Garage. Kobe up on Sniper, trying to see if maybe he can get some type of shot to give his team some type of way to stay in onto mid. And Witness Gaming Xiao, they're just going to be waiting until they have Uber. They don't have it just quite yet, but the loss of Aimer is going to make this decision to take the Uber in a little bit more difficult. Seems like they're still playing pretty close and like they want to take it in, but they're not doing anything. So I think that is, at least for the meantime, going to be the Uber nullified. They're eking in. Oh, and they drop Logan! There were traps there. Habib taking down Logan, and immediately Moose is disconnected from Hubba. Witness Gaming Xiao are going to back up. Minaj is in. Actually gets a lot of damage onto Lol Guy, but not going to be able to get the kill there. If Lol Guy had, maybe he would have used, but that is disaster for Xiao.
Yep. Still got the sniper on the field, so it's not going to be the easiest push into 2 here, but when you have an Uber at your disposal, it's relatively easy to make the enemy team fear for their life. And it's so hard to defend this point on Disad because you want to hold close enough to kind of prevent the Uber from going out for free, but you could get cut off and chased down by scout speed and the soldier bombs, and it's just too hectic. So you go ahead and back up. Just buy time for your Uber as much as possible. It's a big last. There's a lot of ground to travel. You see Habib go ahead and jumping towards the gun to take it down. Banny bring over one of the soldiers. Aimer trying to give up his life for it. Loaf the second string, trying to get the kill. Will succeed. Habib might not fall damage. Fine for now. Heavy out in the field. Won't die as the Uber is popped to go ahead and save some players with the rotation. Froyotech, they're really in it now. The sniper wide spinning. He has to hit this. Misses the first shot. Could just get stickied out here. A lot of damage onto him. The shutter closes.
Oh
but
my
it's
God.
Logan that dies to Kobe, who hits the shot. He wants more. Moose, he's playing with fire here. Kobe's on fire right now, and Minaj, he really wants it. Going towards the shutter, playing with danger right now. Logan's the only death here. Froyotech could go ahead and poke and prop, but they do have an Uber to work with. They don't need to do this too fast. Don't want to accidentally lose your advantages before things really come to fruition. Here is Raider with the play. 97% Uber, and that's exactly why I said it. You had an Uber ad, but no. They're high risk, high reward. They wanted to push off
they might still get it.
Logan kill.
They might still get it.
But it's situations like these on why they do it anyway. Because they think they're just better, and sometimes they are just able to prove it very swiftly, despite whatever road bumps that show up in their way. 3-1 in favor of Froyotech.
Yeah, that is a sometimes just the Froyotech way. We'll go in. We're Froyotech, so we're gonna win. And them managing to make that the case, they've got such firepower on that squad that even if you do take out a large chunk of them, they have the ability to immediately turn the tides in their favor, just like that. As we come in onto another mid, this time Logan is going to be rolling out on the ground through Chuck with the rest of his team. Habib still opting to go through Catwalk, as they're still going to be playing on the ground. No real high ground control for Witness Gaming Xiao. We do have a bomb coming in from Lofi. Immediately meets Speed, and Garage going to be taken down, and they're just kind of easy picking targets for Froyotech as they're just all mulched up in this one area. It's only going to be Moose. Might be able to trade with Speedy, is going to be able to trade with Speedy, but it seems like Froyotech really have a good read on these mid fights in comparison to Sunshine.
Yeah, once again, Witness Gaming for the, I don't know how many, I think it's been every mid so far. They play the floor, they try to find kills on the floor, and Froyotech are just not playing the floor anymore. They did in the first bit, they were able to find some kills, but everyone's rolling out to the crates or playing very safe. There's no one to actually push if you ever decided to shove down a lane, and Witness Gaming just finds themselves just stacked on top of each other, have a high ground disadvantage to be able to get proper damage onto the people that are on top of the crates. And Froyotech, once again, find themselves in a very strong scenario. The only way that things can tumble down from here really is a complete wipe from the timer running out or the clock completely going out. But with Ad in their favor, I mean, it's dwindling, but it's still usable. 20%. Juggled Habib. He needs to jump to this gun, trying to get to it as fast as possible. Uber almost available for the blue team. This gun's not even quite dead yet. They're kind of out in the open. Rockets going out from Sophie's way onto the medic, able to get the course. A little bit of Captain. Low guy down to 5 HP will get killed as the scouts from the side of Froyotech are scattered around. Nice rocket from Aimer, bringing Kobe low, making it hard for him to continue this fight. Banding the opposite side will get scattered down by the side of Minaj. Sophie, the last hurrah. They gotta try to find a way. They both committed to see if they can get some extra damage onto Aimer to take him down, but Kobe leaves Sophie out to dry. The full damage is almost the thing that takes him. But overall, a bit too slow on the side of Froyotech despite the mid victory. The Witness Gaming will hold on to their last.
Oh, Froyotech trying to contest second. Same thing for Witness Gaming Xiao. Froyotech still currently have control of its speed, jumping onto the crates, able to do a bunch of damage at a moment's notice, just trying to delay as much as possible, but is eventually going to have to give it up. And as you said, the curse of Granary striking, because even though they've got second, they're nowhere near mid. They got to take control of Yard, and they're making their way through Lunchbox and through Z, slowly retaking control of the left side. He's super duper weak, can't really commit with everyone else into this left side area of Yard. Is finally going to be able to do so and force Froyotech out, but that's bought enough time for Lol Guy to get his own Uber, so it is going to be an even Uber stalemate scenario, which is going to be okay if you're Froyotech, considering you're at a massive Uber. Just that immediately Soapymeister going to be going in for a bomb, tries to get in, and a lot of damage, but Hubba, nice surf to be able to stay alive. Is going to have to play super far back as a no one really in position to do anything. And I do want to say, just in case you're not aware, if we say Aimer, we mean Robotnik. Robotnik is Aimer. But otherwise, it's still going to be even Ubers.
Yep. It was funny to see Moose at the tail end of that. He was purposely taking rockets. It's like, I'm Medic's weak. Let me damage myself very easily with these incoming rockets to let him regen. No need to basher myself. But Habita, once again, he's finding a lot of damage here. I think it's Habib sticky sniping him or something. I'm not quite sure. But Froyotech, they have their soldiers ready. They can go for some sort of round two. Habita is not exactly the healthiest if they get going really quick, but I think they're a bit too slow to work off of it. So Habita will go ahead and regen up to full HP. As it's kind of, you kind of have to dance around a little bit when it comes to the strategies here. Because if the team is too passive for sacks to work overall, then you can try to cut into Yard. Or maybe if there's a disconnect between Hubba and Logan, you can just try to find Logan at like not buffed HP and maybe just 2-rocket him instead, and that can open things up. But so far the rotations are actually pretty good for the side of Witness Gaming. They're going for the same play again. It looks like Descendant Soapy with his high bomb through the choke. He's actually double backing onto Logan. They're switching it up. That was not the worst idea to really try to go for that, but these extra kills are great from the side of Witness Gaming. He can really only have an Uber exchange here to save Froyotech, but Habib, why is Habib on the enemy team catwalk? He's just alone. They don't even have the space here to go ahead and use Uber as an Uber exchange to buy time for Bandy and Soapy's respawns and then post. It's just too late at that point. Ifritoma is off in nowhere land. So blue team, they are able to take control over mid relatively for free, and this Habib kill is actually pretty huge. I mean, Loaf and Robotnik are only just arriving now, so it's going to take a sec for them to go ahead and get situated, sending someone over to left-hand Yard. Minaj works way behind. Soapy's on the chase, but watch your back. Aim is going in. Minaj will end up falling though, so be able to get that frag at least, and might be able to get more. No, Kobe will not quite fall. So 2 kills. That's great for Froyotech in the defense of their Yard area, and it's looking pretty good for them to at least try to enter mid in some way, shape, or form. The question is, will they bully it with some sort of exchange, or will they just go ahead and go straight up for a force?
Yeah, they have a lot of space, and they are going to be able to get the force out from Witness Gaming Xiao, and they're not going to be doing anything with it except from running away. They do find one on the Speedy who is trying to chase. Oh, they are cutting them off. Hubada should be able to stay alive, but I don't know if that can be said for anyone else on Witness Gaming Xiao. Logan is still in the back lines. Speak about demo men in weird places. He is trying to go for something, not going to be able to find anything, as they have been spawn camped just a little bit. Stuck over in the forward spawn. Minaj tries to make his way out. Does not work out at all. Loaf on the sniper, not able to hit anything, and this is a not a great position if you are Witness Gaming Xiao. It is actually even Uber, so they might be able to stabilize, but they're going to be down a player in Minaj.
Yeah, Speedy's rolling out. He's barely just getting here. It's kind of hard to dry, especially because Minaj is up right now. So, I mean, they'll poke. Khabib's at the shutter, see if he can get extra damage, but there's not really too much to work off here. So, overall, it'll be once again another stalemate. Witness Gaming finding themselves on their last. They got the gun going up. And, they might be able to find an opportunity to go and get a second while the gun is still level 1 and not in a very aggressive position. You can see because the gun is not quite ready yet, Hubada's a little bit precarious about getting too close because he knows he's not super protected, but gun finally level 2, that's good enough. Getting moved forward, so now I can go ahead and get in a little bit of a normal position. Logan getting pressured, Khabib sending it in, damage onto Hubada gets piped. Will indeed have to use the 3-man, finds a lot of damage and the force, but they give up a lot of classes for it. We're full sending over, Aimer in, and oh no, the cheese play. They're Ubering in, they get the kill onto the soldier. They weren't lucky to find a whole lot of people on top of the point. But one kill, is that enough to really hold on to things? Speedy could slow them down. He's above them. Hubada is dead.
Oh my god, that was just really well played from Speedy. Kobe is actually lurking up above as well. They do capture up second, so he can't go for the back cap just quite yet, but he is already on last as the rest of Froyotech work their way in. He finds one onto Minaj actually, and able to meet back up with everyone else. Robotic, however, runs down and gets onto low guys, so the soldiers are cleaning up the medics left, right, and center. This is holdable for Witness Gaming Xiao, but it's also doable for Froyotech. They lose Banny early on Hubada, taking a lot of damage, getting it popped up into the sky, and they have been able to successfully, I say at least for now, hold on to their last point. Kobe once again trying to go for some back cap shenanigans, not going to find it. Moose locking that one down, and they are going to only be able to deny Kobe, Banny, and Soapy getting the forward spawns, but that should be enough for them to try and contest yard.
Work their way through now. Bomb into the shutter. Hubada is dead. The scouts are aggressive, trying to see if they can get some extra kills here. Loaf trying to put the damage on him, and he will indeed getting that as the bomb comes in for Logan, cutting off Khabib. He doesn't really have a whole lot of support. Surfs over the stickies. Low guy might be in for a roll of hurt. Gets taken down by Logan with the sticky, and it's just Khabib on mid, and Hubada spawned at last. Logan backing away, and overall, this late medic death is not that great for Froyotech, but Hubada spawned absolutely alone, so they can't actually build that giant of an ad after such a late medic death. It's literally only 20%. Also, they have no idea that Soapy is in Lunchbox right now because of how little eyes they have. This could be absolutely huge, especially with Loaf dead, especially with the timing. He's waddling through. He's not seen. He misses the rockets, though. The surf, the box,
oh my
the
god,
doesn't work out. He's 50 HP, but that's 50 or that's 46 more than you need for 47 HP there with the regen. So just barely alive there. One more rocket. Actually, if one of those first rockets hit, he would have been dead. That could have turned the tides here immensely, but instead, somehow this shouldn't be this big of an ad, but I guess it is. It's 30%. So things will stalemate out. I see a drop down play from Aimer. Actually,
yeah,
actually Kobe.
Yeah, Kobe, really great stuff there. Speedy just jumping around. Robotnik is going to fall out. Then Habib going to fall over towards the choke point. Robotnik going is going to be able to trade out Speedy falling as well. So it's going to be pretty good, all things considered, for Witness Gaming Xiao. They use Uber. They get 3 kills. They should be able to get control mid, but Banny, oh my god, just rushing in, takes down Logan. Minaj trying to do the same thing. Not nearly the same amount of success. And Banny, Kobe, all just rushing in. And what was looking maybe okay for Witness Gaming Xiao, Froyotech don't even have to use their Uber to get the spawners to defend mid and potentially go all the way to last with this.
Yeah, not quite enough to end the match because there's still 2 minutes until infinite overtime, but they're leaving one. They're starting to walk through. It's 20% ad. We've seen them do this before. Oh, Logan. He gets the kill on Habib. What? He gets the damage on the Banny, though. He needs to get the even more. The cap time is too much. The soldiers weren't able to thwart him enough. So despite the really shaky entry to that Uber with immediately losing your demo man, I mean, if you can get the cap time and catch the soldiers off guard and they're unprepared to go ahead and block the point, that is still a simple round as Froyotech lead to match point, not just because of the infinite overtime that will soon be happening. There's 90 seconds left, but it's 4-1. They only need one more round, hit 5 and seal the deal. And Witness Gaming, they have a large hill to climb. Some would even say it's turned into a mountain at this point, and let's see if they can continue their floor mids or if there's a severe adaptation here that breathes new life into their mid-fight strategy.
Well, it's going to be Froyotech going on the aggressive. Soapy immediately finds Logan. Hubada is hiding as they seems like maybe that is going to be their key to success. What they hope it. Now they're going to re-come in, and it's only going to be Moose left to help defend his medic. Low guy is super weak. Hubada on the aggressive, on the attack, not going to find anything. And a late bomb from Loaf not going to be able to make anything happen either, as that is going to be essentially everyone on Witness Gaming Xiao falling. And Froyotech, they got everyone up. You can see Banny already on second, kind of fighting spam damage with Logan. And this is a great opportunity if you're Froyotech to get the game under your belt, get the win with this Uber advantage push on to last.
Another thing, I actually don't think he was hiding. I think his internet screwed him over and made him walk in a straight line for a couple of seconds till it reconnected. So he wasn't able to like get through garage properly or like climb up into cat. So he was just sitting in the corner. At least what it looked like from my PV. Because when I saw him in the corner and actually got my eyes on him, he looked really jittery, as if his internet made him just AFK there for a moment. So a little bit of slow heals there. It kept him alive, but not to the very end of things. And speaking of not being alive, that's 2 kills. That should be all she wrote, really, unless Froyotech really feared. They haven't gotten for the cap time up until now. There's only one soldier, and he's too weak to go ahead and jump onto it, and Froyotech used the ad very swiftly and very effectively with those early kills to end the match 5-1 in their favor, trading maps overall, taking each other's maps. Actually, I think I was severely wrong with my predictions tonight on how this was going to go, but I mean, it's to be expected considering, you know, these two teams haven't really played each other much this season whatsoever, so it's kind of just a crapshoot. But that makes things kind of interesting because, one, the seeds aren't in stone yet because you have to see who, you know, has flawless wins or who drops a map or whatever in the rest of their matches over the next couple days. But it also means that if this is indeed going to be a potential grand finals matchup, things just got a whole lot more interesting.
They did indeed, with both teams taking one apiece, and just looking at the logs for this Granary one specifically, you can see that whoever won mid won the round, and 9 times out of 10, or 5 times out of 6, I should say, to be more specific, more accurate, it was Froyotech. They absolutely dominated the mids, and like you said, it just seems like there was maybe not as much adaptation coming out from Witness Gaming Xiao when it went into those mid fights, because otherwise, you know, you're looking at some of the other stats, pretty comparable all across the board, but once again, when you're putting yourself winning the mids consistently, you're putting yourself in a great position to just be able to win the rounds and win the game.
Yep, and like you said, the adaptation was a big thing here. While Witness didn't do the exact same thing every single Granary mid, it was the same core strategy. So even though they showed promise in the first couple with their plan A and the variations of it, once it was time to enact a plan B, there was nothing really there. While Froyotech did pretty reasonably within the first couple rounds, they saw what the game plan was for Witness and did the exact thing they needed to make sure it was much more difficult for them to find kills. And the extra effort just was too much for them to, I mean, they got a couple kills sometimes, but it was never the same success they saw in the very beginning of the match, mid-fight wise. And being on your last so much is already tough. For it to be Granary of all maps is kind of, you know, a lost cause at that point where you just pray for round resets, and they did not really get them. So hard to get round conversions in that situation, but big ups to Froyotech for the kind of comeback after maybe struggling a little bit on Sunshine, or at least warming up a tad, and able to find their footing and show that they can be a dominant team.
Yep. If there was any doubt in Froyotech's ability that next match should have squashed it. And I mean, as we kind of said, Froyotech, it can take a little bit to get going. And of course, we don't have halftime anymore, but the Froyotech halftime adjustments is infamous even now. And they kind of showing why that is the case. Just one other thing that doesn't really mean anything, but I thought was funny. Logan and Aimer top damaging in both maps, and then the rest of Froyotech, and then the rest of Witness Gaming Xiao. So Logan and Aimer consistently over both maps, doing the most damage in the server, and by far the most damage on their respective teams. But outside of that, one apiece, really great series of games, what you like to see in TF2. And if this is the grand finals, like you said, we should be in for a really great show. But I think that's going to be it for tonight. Jared, do you have any final words you'd like to say, or any final key analysis to keep the people hyped going into playoffs?
I mean, it's going to be a pretty jam-packed week. I think Froyotech doubleheader the Tub on Thursday. And there's another match. I think Global Clan versus Witness Gaming is also being played on Thursday. I don't know which one we're covering out of those two, but there's option. Apparently, we're covering the Global Clan one. I think there's another additional match. I don't remember the matchup. I think it was a previous week 4 match that hasn't been played yet, and I think it's Global Clan versus someone. And since they're playing already on Thursday, that's got to slot somewhere. It's either tomorrow or Thursday, I would imagine. Technically, playoffs are still to be decided, but my brain says that you still got to consider that it could potentially be this weekend, and obviously you gotta wait and see what the official wording is. But since Retro Cup is literally next week, I would imagine you try for next weekend, and if you can't, then you do it later. But if it was next weekend and things work out like that, that's a lot of games almost in a row. And it's really the culmination of this mini season, if so. So the upcoming next 5 or so days is definitely going to be pretty huge, and a lot of content and a lot of good content. So definitely now's a good time to ramp up your TF2 viewing if you've been a little lackadaisical in the past couple weeks.
Yep, it is all probably going to come to a head in these next few days, and stay tuned obviously to the RGL Twitch channel to catch the coverage of it. And until then, probably Thursday, but in case something happens on Wednesday, we go to cover it. That's going to be it for us here tonight. You saw 2 games, Froyotech versus Witness Gaming Xiao, both winning apiece. And we will see you at least on Thursday for another match. Until then, have a great night, and see ya.